How's it
Hello,
going,
welcome.
everyone? Sorry, what?
I was doing your intro, and hello, Michael. Welcome back to Diary Room.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal the intro from you. Thank you.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, so I guess I'll just jump into my current thoughts on the game. Maybe get some questions in later. Brandy has left. She opted to leave rather than be voted out. Look, obviously, if she's struggling with it, whatever, wish her the best. But I found it kind of interesting how corny the house chat was being about it, where there's like, oh, like, I don't know, it got very like serious, and no one wanted to like make a joke about it very quickly. So I was just like, oh yeah, see you, Brandy. But like, that was crazy. I don't know. She left the game. She was salty. She was being voted out. We don't have to act like it's this big deal. Whatever. Let's not make it more than what it is.
I feel like
Ultimately, though. Oh,
I,
sorry. Go ahead.
I said I feel like I set the tone in my announcement.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, she can't handle the heat, and then everyone was just kind of like, oh, wishing you the best. I think that's just the new era org. So maybe I'm problematic old generation person, but whatever. I think she's all right. She'll be okay. But one thing that I think was very interesting about her leaving was Aiden came to talk to me and was like, "Hey, I knew that you guys were close. Sorry to see that she's gone." And that sets off alarms for me because I don't want that narrative going around like, oh, Michael and Brandy were really close, and maybe Michael feels a certain way about this, because that is just, that just paints paranoia onto me for other people in this game and in this house. So that's something that when Aiden mentioned it, I was a little concerned, because for Aiden, maybe it doesn't mean that much. And he just thinks, oh, I just should probably be nice and do a little check in for my alliance member and just, let them know I'm here for them, whatever. But Aiden isn't just like acting independently with this knowledge. That means this is information that has been spread around to other people in this house. And with me not having the foresight to know who is necessarily talking to Aiden at all times, that means this information is out there with multiple people. And maybe it's something that gets told to Val as like, oh, I'm good to keep you, but I know Michael and Brandy are close, so you probably need to check in or make sure there. And then Val starts to not trust me. Or maybe someone talks to Jordan and is like, "Oh yeah, I assume it'll be unanimous, but maybe Michael will vote to keep Brandy because he is friends with her." And obviously, I was just gonna vote out Brandy, but if that information and that distrust gets put out on me, that's when the bolts start to come loose and things start to derail. So that was a little concerning for me to hear from Aiden. I hope it's not as big of a deal as I'm making it, but it's something that I kind of need to take note of and kind of put out any fires before they start. Really, if I can, with people around the house, just letting Val know, letting Jordan know, letting a lot of people know that I'm more than okay with Brandy being gone. That there's no harm in my perception of the game, and that I just kind of enjoyed talking to Brandy, but I didn't necessarily have a lot of allegiance to her. What's tricky about this, though, is like I also have to make sure that I don't just come off as like, oh yeah, I am willing to just cut someone that I'm friends with or that I talk to a lot, because it just like doesn't matter to me, because I needed to seem like, oh, I'm loyal, but it wasn't the Brandy. So we'll see what happens. I can't overdo it, because then it just draws more suspicion and paranoia from people. So I don't know, just gonna try to have very simple conversations to kind of instill that, like, yeah, I was just with the house, just being nice, just enjoying my time with everyone on the cast, but it wasn't that deep. And hopefully people buy it, but we'll see. Moving forward, obviously, Final 13, we've had like two pretty easy boots. So there's now this sort of question of who is next. I think there's sort of a bottom tier. Me and Shinx were talking about it. and we kind of agreed that like Crow and Val are probably like the bottom right now, and probably would be an easy nomination for someone who's not close to them. However, who's next after that is where I kind of get confused and worried. And I know that there are people that play games with Val every night and probably wouldn't want to nominate her because they're working in self interest. I know that there are people who like Crow. I mean, Jordan kind of dismissed the idea of me potentially, or of me pitching nomming Crow. Sorry, stumbling on my words there. But yeah, so Jordan was just like kind of against it. I know that other people pitched it, so I'm not as worried as much about that as I initially let on in my DR. But I don't know. It's something that I worry about because I've been so busy with trying to get my football content out this month that I've had times where I just kind of like stop checking messages in the game and will come back later. Based on my conversation with Ryan, I'm kind of nervous for Malik. I'm nervous for myself with some people. And I kind of wonder if Livy could be in trouble, which would be crazy just because it'd be like her first week immune. But I do know that she hasn't been talking to people that much. So assuming that Ryan keeps the immunity and Blaze and who was it, like Mira? No, it was Blaze and Mira on Livy's team. Everyone else was like trying hard from Ryan's team. So I assume Ryan will stay immune and then Livy loses it. And I'm interested to see how she does in this game because I like Livy, but I've not talked to her much, and I was kind of worried about that. But I talked to other people, and they shared that same sentiment. So there's not really much that can be done if a lot of people are struggling to connect with her. And I think people enjoy her to where maybe her first week not immune, people would feel bad to just like automatically target her. I think she's likable enough to where people would feel pretty comfortable like saying, "Oh no, you're good. I got your back 100%." But she's got to start playing a little more. And I could say the same for myself. I'm very aware, but I don't know. She kind of goes on and off a lot more than I do, at least from my perception. Maybe it's just because we have varying schedules, but it's a it's an interesting situation right now because I just don't feel like there's an easy third nom for everyone to where I just feel comfortable no matter what. But I don't really want to win HOH because I feel like I would have to go against people that I think I can sort of paint this idea of like, oh, I still really trust you and I absolutely want to work with you. And maybe it's bullshit and maybe it's just kind of saving face, which, everyone thinks that they're doing. But I don't know. I'd like to think I can pull it off, but I just worry if the power goes in the wrong hand that it ends up in me being on the block as maybe a pawn or maybe even the target if it gets bad enough. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous. I think based on my conversations with like Shinks and Jordan and Aiden, people seem to think I'm fine, but I don't know. I don't feel good about the amount of effort that I've put in, and I'm worried that it could come back to bite me soon. Had an alarm go off. Maybe they aren't saying to themselves, "Oh, I want Michael gone right now," but I don't think I'm high enough in people's rankings to where it's like I'm just in the clear. And I think that's unfamiliar territory. As someone who's been first boot, I know that's crazy to say, but usually this early in the game, I feel like I'm usually operating where I'm in the clear. But I've just, like I said, been busy to where there's times where I just can't socialize to the levels that I would like. Ideally, someone in like the Marge Simpson alliance is able to win HOH or maybe like Blaze wins it or something, and I would feel pretty good. However, there's also people that if maybe Mira won or maybe even Livy won, I would start to be a little concerned and wonder what my fate is, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to stress too much, and I'm not going to like overact on this, but I am just gonna hopefully have some time today to where I can get some conversations going, further establish that like, hey, I really trust you. Tell some people like, oh, I'm gonna try for HOH, but you know, obviously, if I win, you're safe. Probably then throw and hope that it works out for me this week. Um, I don't know. I think I've gotten kind of annoyed of how many people just like throw competitions to where I'm like tempted to not do it, but I don't know. I think there's people who work where they throw competitions and it just like makes sense and they utilize it well for the strategy. And there's some people who just like throw competitions and then they aren't involved and it's like, oh, I'm playing under the radar. But like under the radar doesn't mean nothing, you know? Sorry to go off this specific game talk and just start ranting about org players, but I feel like that's a very common thing that happens. So I always feel like kind of annoying when I'm like, yeah, I think I might throw because a lot of people just like take that approach and then do nothing with it. But I don't know. I can't worry about that. I got to worry about myself. Let me answer this question in the diary room. Will you be gunning for HOH? No. If so, who do you think you might want to nominate? So let's say in the situation that I win it. You know, somehow it's like a luck comp, and I pick the lucky cup with an HOH in there, some bullshit. I think I would probably have to go with Val and Crow, which is unfortunate. I really like Val. We're in the same alliance with the Offbeat Click, but in terms of activity level, she hasn't been super around, and I think that would be the easiest thing to kind of agree with on the house. The only issue is I would then have to kind of save face with people in the Offbeat Click Alliance. Shinx and Blaze have already talked about it at large. I feel like they wouldn't care, but I would need something established with MJ because I really like MJ, and I feel like she's kind of a dark horse ally for me as like someone that could potentially be a key piece for my success in this game. Um, so I don't want anything that like causes mistrust there. So that's something that would be concerning. But it just seems like the house is kind of in agreement that Val and Crow are the least active currently. So I think that's who the majority of people would nominate if I had to guess. But I do know that Blaze doesn't want to do Val. I do know that Jordan was kind of hesitant on doing Crow last cycle. So maybe there's other people that are kind of in a similar boat. Um, but that's what I expect would be like the, oh, everyone's kind of saying this. Are you okay with it? And I don't think it would get too much pushback. Um, as far as outcomes I'd like to see, maybe MJ winning HOH would be perfect for me. Just kind of let her call the shots. Um, express how much I trust her and just be like, wow, thank you so much. Um, I don't know. I just feel like there's probably someone in this game that's like planning my demise. So I'm like nervous to even like put full trust in anyone winning HOH. But I think MJ trusts me enough to where it's like not in her best intent, like it's not in her best interest to just want me out, if that makes sense. But who knows? I think being a veteran, there's going to be some newbie that's just like, yeah, let's get all the vets out. And who knows? Maybe it's MJ. I guarantee you they wouldn't share it straightly to me or strictly to me or whatever directly. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot more to say right now. Is there any questions to kind of prompt me to ramble on some more?
Well, Slimy went to get dinner, but who do you believe the next tutor to lose their immunity will be?
Yeah, I think Livy's gonna lose the immunity. It'll be interesting though because I know Ryan's team kind of performed well when it came to the scoring, but Blaze and Mira kind of strongmanned the socials from losing their powers. So maybe one of them is able to do it again and kind of save Livy from any harm. But I imagine Livy will be the person losing immunity. Anything else?
Gotcha. So what were your thoughts on the Brandy and Ryan situation?
Brandy and Ryan situation?
About Brandy coming to you with information about Ryan.
Oh yeah. No, it's something that I'm concerned about, and I don't necessarily think that Ryan's like against me, but I think Ryan is always going to operate in a way where it's like I need to be third in line if they start cutting off veterans. I need to have everyone closer to me than they are to Michael, or closer to me than they are to literally anyone. He's just always going to want to be the next in line for someone's trust ranking. So when it came to Brandy trusting me, I think he was operating in the sense of I need to make sure that she trusts me more than Michael. And if Brandy happens to sneak through this game and somehow pull out something and has to decide between the two of us, then she would operate in the favor of Ryan. I don't think it worked out how he had planned, and I imagine that he's now like, well, I know, I guess, because he was messaging me a lot about it, but I know he's kind of annoyed with how Brandy acted and sharing that information. So that was strange, but I'm not trying to put too much thought into it just because I've told Ryan so much early in this game that like I need him to be loyal to me or else I'm cooked regardless. Obviously, as the game goes on and I get more information, a lot of it's going to be pocketed for myself. But I think early on, to ensure that he knows the level of my loyalty, I just kind of had to spill whatever I could to him to make sure that he knows that this is just like something he can trust. Ideally, I'd love to just kind of sit on all the game info I have and just kind of operate with secret alliances and never be the one to spill the beans. But when you're looking to get into the end game, you need people that are going to trust you all the way there. And in order to really kind of solidify that and make sure that Ryan had no doubts, which he still might, but to work towards making sure he had no doubts, I feel like these early couple weeks I had to just kind of give him everything I had in terms of information, and hopefully, even though he was a little weird with the Brandy situation, hopefully he does know that I'm with him, and hopefully that results in him being with me. Anything else?
No, that covers it. Thank you for doing the live DR.
No problem. Thanks for anyone who listened through.
No worries. Bye. Thanks.